Today I'm here with Tyron, aka the Hairy Healer, and we've met up today to talk about the issues that we come up against between men and women in relationships.
Yep.
So, yeah, to get the ball rolling, what would you say from your experience have been your biggest blocks or the things that you've come up against personally in terms of expressing yourself vulnerably and authentically?
That's a pretty good start to the topic. So from my experiences with relationships, they're kind of like, as far as like typical monogamous boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, long term, I've only ever had one. Because I've been so scared of committing to someone. I had my heart broken in high school, and from that place, closed everything. I didn't want to get hurt again, didn't want to be vulnerable, didn't want to allow a woman inside of my sensitive heart space to hurt me again. So I became a male chauvinistic pig. I used drugs and alcohol to escape vulnerability and to cover up my emotions, and porn, a lot of porn. And I would meet women, and we would talk, and we would have maybe some form of relationship for a very, very short space of time. But I would always have a story in the back of my head that women could not be trusted. And so because that was my story and because that's what I believed, I made it true. So I never had any self-worth in that regard.
Yeah.
So if a woman had sex with me or showed interest in me, I assumed that she would have sex or show interest in everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I had no self-confidence. And so the moment I saw her talking to someone else, I would put the barriers up, I would close off, and I would be like, no, that's it, see, I knew it, that I'm not important, or I'm not good enough, or she's, insert bad word here, or whatever. And so then I would not allow myself to love any more than that, which was very limited already.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I don't know what happened at 23. I met a girl. I think I was maybe just ready for a bit of a shift, and we did fall in love, and it was amazing for a while. But yeah, the typical or normal issues that come up in relationships came up. So my insecurities, my fears, my inability to speak honestly with her, for fear of her thinking that I was weird, or like, why would you want to do that? And which she had said quite a few times in the early parts of our relationship anyway. So I'd been shamed for having a belief system or a fantasy or a desire that she didn't believe, and therefore if she didn't believe that and she didn't love me in that, how could she love me in anything else?
Yeah. It's interesting you saying about it kind of sourcing from not feeling that you could trust women, because often I think we as women just think that men don't care because of the way they express those insecurities. A lot of the time it comes across as like, well, there's just nothing, like you're just not bothered. So yeah, I've kind of fell into this role of the kind of needy woman, who just wants to be loved, but in quite a very suffocating way. And so I've always fallen into this dynamic of, I say emotionally avoidant, but I know the emotions were there, but they just weren't able to be expressed from the men I was with. So it's kind of been this runner-chaser dynamic. And because it's fed into this abandonment pattern, in my head it's always, they don't love me, they're going to leave me at any moment, they can just go. and it's me that loves them more. Yeah, which I know is a story because whenever the relationships ended, I've kind of been able to see, okay, they did love me the whole time, I just never had the capacity to believe that they did. So there's this story going on of they don't really care, they don't love you, they're gonna go, but it's always made me actually miss out on the connection and the love that was there, which is sad. And because the relationships were always about me seeking this validation and security, whenever I got that, this click of a finger, the love would go for me. I would fall out of love with them. And so it was almost like, well, you got what you wanted now, and now you need some more validation. And I think from what I sensed from the men I was with, it's almost like this confusion of, you've just been chasing me all this time and then I give in to you and then you don't want to know. Or you break up with me because, you know, I'm not meeting your needs. But I always have this kind of really messed up pattern of, not so much now, but before, where I would come to terms with the fact that the relationship wasn't what I needed it to be, and I would vocalise that. But then I'd still want them to chase me. So when they stopped chasing me, I would then come back and be like, and inside I'm thinking, why are you not chasing me anymore? You never loved me anyway, because you've given up now. And then they're thinking, well, you've just ended it. Yeah, and I don't really have anything to say for myself then, because I'm like, yeah, that's when it just becomes a game. Yeah,
and the game, from what we both just shared, they feed on each other. It's like, I'm not going to commit to you because you're going to go somewhere else anyway, and then, but I'm going to like kind of stay interested, and then the moment I see you not 100% with me, that feeds my story of, nah, see, I'm not special, or I'm not enough. And so then I put blocks up, and then when you fill those blocks, then, you know, yeah, it just creates this, we just don't talk.
Yeah.
Basically, we're not honest. I don't tell you that I really like you and I'm scared that I like you, or I get really insecure when you talk to other men because I'm not sure how you feel about me, and you know, yeah, it's just this place of, we're so scared of being honest, because when we're honest, we're vulnerable. When we're vulnerable, we're weak. And when we're weak, we're not man enough. Yeah. That's kind of the track. And in our society, and by our brothers, and by our fathers, and by our society, like our friends, if you're a man and you're weak, then that's it. You know, you can't survive. Which stems back to, and we talk about it occasionally, but like, it stems back to tribal days of being the alpha male. Like, if you were the alpha male, you were the leader of the tribe, you become the chief. All the women wanted you because they felt the safest to be with you, and you know, you were the best hunter, the best this, the best that, and it gave you a sense of worthiness in the tribe. We don't live in that society anymore. We don't need that. There are no tigers, there are no bears, we don't have to go and hunt wild boars for our food anymore. We don't need an alpha dog. There's no such thing. We don't need the top man to be the hero of our population, or of our tribe. Like, we just need to be honest with each other. Like, we can all be that man when it comes to a place of, like, so many people say the word authentic, but it's like, it's the kind of the best word, like, just honest and raw. And like, this is me, this is all of me right now, and this is what I've got, and that's enough.
Yeah, and what I feel is that rather than asserting our needs and just vocalising it, we punish the other person for not meeting it. We don't tell them what we want, but if they don't meet it, then we punish them and push them away.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Or we've been together 6 months, you should know what my needs are. You should be able to feel that I need you to hug me right now. You should know that I'm pissed off at you. Just fucking say it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not that hard. And this whole, like, like you said, game of relationship, it's bullshit and it's not serving anyone. And like when you can just stand there like, hey, I'm feeling really insecure right now and what you're doing is affecting me, or I'm being affected by what you're doing, because it's not always, you're in charge of your own emotions. So, by you talking to another man doesn't mean like it's not it's not your fault that makes me triggered.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm triggered by what you're doing is a different way to say what you're doing is triggering me because I'm placing the blame on her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm expressing my emotions right now. This is how I'm feeling. And then you can communicate from that level.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we say it's your fault, the other person's going to react and go, it's not my fault, it's your fault. You haven't done this. And but you haven't done that for me. And then it starts to...
And then it's just a transaction then. It's just, you're meant to be doing all these things for me, but this is what I need from you. But none of it's actually expressed. It's just sort of outletted in a really passive-aggressive or aggressive way.
Yeah, and I think a large part of that has become, again, we don't communicate what we want from a relationship at the beginning, or what our expectations are on the relationship. Men, the thing between men and women, and it's not men and women, it's masculine and feminine, but I'll use men and women as the physical representations. Men like freedom, and women like security. So the feminine energy likes security, she likes to feel safe, she likes to feel chosen. The masculine energy likes freedom, likes expression, and wants to go off. And until there's a communication between the two, both of them are just going to expect like what they want. And sometimes, and this is why it's an energy thing and not a gender thing, the feminine in a man can be really triggered when she in him, if that makes sense, is like, I really love this woman and I want her to choose me, I want this female-bodied woman to choose me and I want to be her man. But then if he sees her with another man, he's going to bring up all of his insecurities, all of his invalidations.
Yeah.
So he needs to be honest and communicative, like, I like you and I'd like to see where this goes and not see other people.
And I think it's interesting what you said about the kind of masculine wanting freedom and the feminine wanting security, because we all do anyway, like deep down, but play out this feminine of wanting security, but then when I feel safe, I just want freedom. So I kind of flitter between this needy woman who just wants love, but then when I have the reassurance, I just want freedom. So then it's kind of like a push-pull all the time. And yeah, looking back, I think I've been a head fuck. It's been really confusing because I don't vocalise that. I'm either in one place or the other, and they're both two extremes.
Yeah, and I'm the same as the other way. Like when you have all the freedom in the world, you're like, oh, but it would be nice to have like something to go back to, or someone that's always there, or the grass is always greener. The grass is always greener. It's when we play out the polarities, which is like one extreme to the other, when we've played in both, we understand the entire range, and when we understand the distance between here and here, we can then play from the center. If that makes sense. So like, once you've, like, I'll use this, it's a bit of a full-on example, but like porn addiction and celibacy, right? Or sex addiction and celibacy. So I've kind of played in both. I've been celibate for 3+ months with no self-pleasure, no sex, no stimulation. And I've definitely had lots and lots of sexual experiences as fast as I can, jammed in as close. And I understand both to some extent, I'm sure I could do celibacy for longer and have a different experience, and I could do more sexual stuff, closest and have a different experience. But from what I understand, it's like, I know what it's like to go without for a while, and I know what it's like to get a lot. And so now I understand my own desires and my own energy and what I want and when I want it, and how to communicate that.
Yeah.
because I have the understanding and the framework around it to be able to communicate that. It's like right now I'm really, really turned on and horny and I want lots of sexual energy. And then other times I'm like, no, I'm not horny at all and I have no sexual energy and I don't want any sexual energy around me.
Yeah.
I just want to be cuddled or left alone or whatever.
Yeah.
And being able to speak that because I know what's going on in me in those moments.
Being able to be seen in all those spaces and be accepted in all those spaces.
Yeah.
So I think often as men and women we like to hold each other in one space. Like you should be, so for example with me towards men, it's like you should always be in this giving, caring, sort of sensitive space, but I'm not going to accept you anywhere else. So when you want your freedom, when you've got other priorities, then that's not okay because then I don't feel safe then. And it becomes very selfish and one-sided and it's all about me. It's nothing to do. The thought of where they're at or what they might need or want has often never even come into it.
It's playing the polarities again, you know, and we have different energy bodies that come through us at different times. You know, there's times when a man needs to stand up and be the hero and the saviour, and then there's a time when the man needs to just be like the grandfather and just hold and play and have fun, you know, and time when the man needs to be the fool and just have, you know, be an idiot. And the same with the feminine. There's a time when the feminine needs to be a dirty, seductive priestess, and when she needs to be a maiden and show compassion and you know, and it's understanding like in what situation what is needed and being able to embody that, but not becoming attached to that having to be the only thing that you ever do.
And I feel like we disown a lot of parts of ourselves in relationships. So I will always disown the enchantress slut because that's threatening in a relationship, that will make them feel unsafe and also not feeling like it's attractive. Like, you know, it's only attractive when you're vulnerable and receptive. If you're too sexually assertive and confident, then I'm going to like that. Which is more my own projection than anything, but it kind of stops me kind of expressing the full spectrum of myself and just staying in this kind of safe lane, which then limits the connection because...
Is that within the relationship dynamic?
Yeah.
So like, from my experiences, if I feel safe with my partner and she starts to express her enchantress or slut or it's nothing hotter. You know, because I feel safe with her. If she was to express that outside of our relationship dynamic with other people, then it does trigger me because of past wounds and my own and the part of myself that doesn't own my own inner slut. You know? And this comes back to like the light dark, like you said, everyone loves the vulnerable, the happy, the safe. We love her or him because we feel safe. It's like, oh yeah, I have power over them because they're just the light and they'll just accept me all the time. But when someone starts to express their dark, we start to get triggered, especially if their dark is stronger than our dark. You know. So and this is what we just talking about downstairs, slut shaming, for example. Like if there's a woman being dirty and seductress and sexy and a man approaches her and she turns him down, he could then easily slut shame her because what's happened is she's showing her dark, her slut, he thinks he's in, he comes over, her masculine steps in and goes, no, fuck you, I don't want to be with you, I'm just like expressing myself. And now he feels demasculinated because he's been turned down, so he doesn't feel like enough of a man. And so his only way to get over that is to try and power over again and shut slam. Slut shame. So. And
that's a very quick and easy way to put a woman down.
Exactly. You know, and women that are embodied and expressive and allow that energy to move through them carry that all the time, you know, because they embody the seductress energetically doesn't mean they want to actually allow lots of men to touch and grope and feel them. You know. So and
And what I've found is there are certain spaces where I can be seductive if it's in a more open kind of, I don't want to say sexual environment, but a more no strings attached environment. But with a lot of the men that I've been with, if they've been in the light masculine, they've actually rejected my Enchantress. I've had the same comment a few times from different men where they've said, "You're too much." So, like, when I'm in the moment and when I let go and when I take control, I'm told I'm too much. So then it's created this idea of, okay, well, men don't like that then because you're overpowering them.
Yeah.
Or I think a lot of the time it's when I start surrendering emotionally in sex and they haven't got to that space yet, so then it's like, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because there's no education around these energy bodies that come through, and so we don't know how to hold that space. Like, as a man, you might watch porn, you might love the concept of having a dirty slut or like being with a dirty slut, but then the actual physical space of it happening, it's like, holy fuck, I don't know if I can actually handle this. So, and then it brings up all the insecurities again.
Yeah.
So, and that's because there's no education, there's no information. Like, I don't know about over here in England, but in Australia, sex ed is like, this is a penis, this is a vagina. This thing, when you stroke it enough, shoots out semen, wear a condom.
Don't get pregnant.
That's about it. That's sex ed in Australia. I think it's
same
starting
here.
to change, but there's no education around sexuality whatsoever.
No, there's not.
No.
And that's why a lot of people end up using porn.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I got my education to start with, and my friends who, guess what, got their education from porn. Some of them had some big brothers who got their education from porn. That's... And the thing is now, with the internet, the way it is, yes, you can look at porn, but you can actually research everything that we're talking about at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, there is all of this information is everywhere all over the internet if you actually have a look. So it's not your fault, or I'm not trying to play any blame games, but it's there if you actually want to deepen your understanding around relationships, sexuality, masculine, feminine energies. If you want to go that deep, you don't even have to go that deep. You can, it's really, really easy to learn these days.
Yeah, I think it's just, getting to a point where you kind of think, this is what happened to me, is I want more. Like, this isn't enough, this doesn't feel right, like, it feels limited, like, there has to be something else outside of this.
Well, there's that, definitely. Like, my journey started from my orgasms, becoming, like, not pleasurable. So that started my journey of like, well, this isn't cool, because I remember when I was younger, they were awesome. So like, I want to change them again. And that started me on a big path. But I mean, you think about it in another light, right? I'm a bricklayer. Well, I was a bricklayer. It took me 4 years to learn how to be a bricklayer. And even then, I still was like, still learning. And even if I went back on a job now, I'd still be learning new stuff. If you want to become an architect, you got to study at university for 5 or 6 years. And even then, you're not a great architect. You understand the principles of it, but you need to put it into practice. Let's move that to sexuality, where you think you turn 18 and you know everything about sex, and you know everything about relationships, and you know everything about sexuality and how to please women and how to please men and how to like please yourself. Like, to know anything in this world, you have to learn it, you have to study it, you have to embody it. Just because you have sex with a woman when you're 16 or 14 or whatever, and then you do it 100 times or 1,000 times, if you just do the same thing, you're not learning anything, you know? So why wouldn't you want to, like, we all love it, we all do it, it feels fucking amazing. Why wouldn't you want to try and further your education around it? And yes, you can read everything and you can practice by yourself and with your partner, but like, why wouldn't you ask questions? Why can't we talk about this stuff? Like, why can't I talk to my mates around different types of pleasure that they've experienced, as opposed to having to talk about the weather? Like, the weather is the most boring topic I've ever fucking spoken in my entire life, and yet no matter where I go, it's the most commonly used small talk, and it's shit. And it does my head in.
Yeah, let's talk about orgasms instead.
Exactly. Let's talk about anal, let's talk about oral, let's talk about all the different types of pleasure and way that you can experience pleasure. Because it's fun.
Let's compare dildos.
You'll win, yours is bigger.
It's true. Yeah, what you were saying just kind of pinpointed something about, for me personally for me, and I think for a lot of women, the concept of having sex to get pleasure for yourself, it didn't occur to me, or it did, but I didn't want to address it. I was 24 years old when I first started masturbating because I was so disconnected from my vagina that there was absolutely no sensation. And although deep down I felt broken, I was also at a point where I ruled it out. Like, that's it, you're just not gonna orgasm, you just don't feel pleasure, you're just, for some reason you've got the short straw. And I accepted it. And it felt more safer to just pretend that it wasn't even an option than to actually address it, because one, my pleasure was never a priority. I hadn't had experiences with men where they'd ever prioritised it really. And it felt a lot more comfortable for me to just focus on them, to just be a giver and just kind of tell myself that that's what I preferred. So yeah, I think, only 3 years ago did I come to a point where I realised that pleasure, that's the main reason you have sex, is pleasure, and you've not been having this.
And procreation, but
yeah.
But it feels good, so if it feels good, do it.
But like the urge to do it,
Yeah.
like in an animalistic sense, is the pleasure, and that's something that,
Yeah, and I mean, there's the other part of it though, is that I know when I started, it was like, did you come? Like, I had to ask the woman, and because I wanted to know that I was okay. I wanted to know that I could do it.
Yeah.
And and it's got nothing to do with me. Like, you don't make me orgasm, and I don't make you orgasm. Just like we're not lovers, by the way. But also, if I can't get erect, that's not because you can't get me erect, it's because I can't get me erect. And it's like, we always want to shift the blame onto the other person, but it actually has nothing to do with them. Like, if you masturbate at home, whether you're male or female is irrelevant. If you masturbate at home and you can orgasm, then why can't you orgasm with someone else? That's not their fault. Like, you are completely responsible for your own sexual energy and your own... Yes, the other person can help, and you can work together to create a safe space for that to flow. Guess what? It comes back to communication. There's just lots of talk.
No, definitely. And that was the kind of mindset I had, was one of the reasons why I was quite promiscuous in my early 20s was because I was searching for my orgasm. I didn't understand that I had to source it myself, whereas because there was a disconnection between my vagina and myself, because no one tells you that. Ended up having sex for not the wrong reasons, but searching for something that just needed for me to just go within.
Or you were doing it for a goal.
For a goal.
Purpose, for a goal other than pleasure, or other than fun, or other than, if you want to get spiritual, like deep connection. Whatever, like however you want to look at it. As soon as there's a goal, you're not present because you're focused on the goal. And the more present you can be.
And when I kind of was in not necessarily a full-on relationship or with lovers, I would get the sense that they wanted to come, and because I knew that wasn't an option for me, and I just wanted the emotional intimacy, because that was the main intention for me with sex. It was always, I want intimacy. I craved that touch and that closeness. And then when you sense that the other person isn't in this for that, that's quite traumatizing. Because I really want to connect with you and give you everything, but actually, not because it's your fault or because you're a bad person, but you're thinking about the end result, and the end result isn't even a factor because it can't be. So it was shit.
Was for me for years as well.
Yeah.
And I guess the big, like, this is the other thing, you don't have, it's not weird to want to learn about sex. You don't have to be some tantric yogic guru person that believes in spirit and cosmos and whatever. It's a pretty simple science, and it's really, it's for everyone, and it's really simple and straightforward, and I you'll experience things that you never thought possible, and it's fucking amazing. And like, you don't need to be anyone special or not be anyone special. It's just,
yeah.
it's, yeah.
It doesn't make you a hypersexual person to want to know about yourself as a sexual being, or to get the most pleasure that you can. It's like, it's our birthright, like, why shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, it's how we're created. You were born because your mum and your dad had sex. The penis went inside the vagina.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's what happens. The sperm came out, fertilized an egg, created sexual energy, and then boom, manifestation of a human being. And so it's like, without it, none of us exist. So why can't we talk about it? And why can't we talk about the best ways to do it?
Yeah, exactly. And something I just thought to add on to what I said as well is, although I can say, oh, you know, for me, not being able to orgasm or not even having the possibility that that would happen, even if on the other side of it you've got a guy or whoever who is orgasming, like, and it is in a very goal-orientated way, that's still limiting. And I think that's kind of why we need both sides, because it's not just shit for one of us or this experience is the worst. Like, if you're not connecting in mind, body and spirit, or however you want to word it, then you're missing out in some way.
If you could improve your orgasms, would you not want to? Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's if you want to nail it down to the most simplest thing, it's like, do you want to have better sex? Do you want to have more pleasure? You know, you can look at it, deeper connection to the heart, and yes, that's kind of the avenue that you go down, but you don't have to get all weirded out by it. It's like, if you want to have better sex, start talking about things that you want to experience, and start exploring different things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
That's okay.
Yeah, I guess quick throw out, like, I work with men predominantly. I'm really passionate about working with men and overcoming the guilt and shame that men face throughout their sexuality, and how we don't talk about it. So check me out on Facebook, Instagram, The Hairy Healer. Get in contact, send me a message. I've got a 10-week program starting for men called The Shameless Sex God, to help remove the shame around sex and feel empowered like a god. So yeah, please get in contact if you feel the urge.
Thank you.